On this episode of the Futures in Digital Learning podcast, we bring you a conversation with the officers of the Associated Students of the University of Arizona near you. Join us as we discuss student perceptions of online learning.
The difference between when I first started college and now is the online presence is so accessible.
What changes they would make, and pieces of advice for students and faculty.
Think about when you're, as an instructor, when you see this curriculum, can you do it? You can grade it, but can you do this as a student?
Yeah.
And if you can't, then why are you subjecting your online students to do it?
Hello and welcome to the Futures in Digital Learning podcast. This is episode 6 of season 3. My name is Adam Davi, instructional design manager at UCAT once again, and I'm here with my co-host,
Brian Hale. Hey, everybody.
And we are excited today to have a conversation with students from student government with Arizona Online. This is our first podcast with students, so we're excited to get the student perspective. And we're actually also recording in our brand new podcast studio at UCAT on the campus of the University of Arizona. So that's exciting as well. I'm going to go ahead and let the students introduce themselves. We'll start right here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. My name is Matt Dorner. I am the president of the Association of the Students here at University of Arizona Online. I am in my final year at the Eller College of Management, getting a business administration degree in accounting.
Cool. All right.
I am Corinne Fraser. I am a nutrition science major in emphasis in dietetics. I should be graduating actually in the fall of 2025. Very exciting.
All right.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Williams. I'm an executive vice president of ASUA NY, and my major is business administration, like Matt. But I'm just going to stick to business administration. And my expected graduation is spring 2027. This is my third semester with U of A, so I'm a baby.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, we got a wide range here. I like it. Well, thank you all for being here today. I just want to start by asking you to tell us your experience with online classes and your experience at Arizona Online and what that's been like for you. Anybody can jump in first and kind of go from there.
I guess I can go. I've actually started the traditional way. I went to a Cal State school. And then I came into the issue where I work full time. So there was no available classes for me to go because most of the classes, everything's done during the day. Nothing's in the evening. So I had to take about maybe 2-3 years off of school. And then one day I Googled to find online schools for dietetics. And the U of A came up as the first one. And I did my research. And actually the program had just started that year when I was researching it. So it was 2019 was when I looked into it. And from there on, it's been amazing. My advisors are amazing for the nutritional science. He actually really pushes me and makes sure I get to where I need to get to. Whereas when I was going to one of the state schools in person, I didn't get that. It was, to me, personally, it felt like a number. Oh, you're here just to go to school and just try to get you through. But my advisor here has been a great experience for me, and it's pushed me to where I'm at now to graduate in the fall. So I'm super excited about that. And I do think online is the best way for people who work full time, have a family, who can do things at their pace when it's convenient for them. Yeah. And I think that's the great thing about online.
Cool.
Yeah, my story kind of resonates with Corinne. I started the traditional route too. I moved to Tucson almost 15 years ago now, right out of high school, planning on taking the traditional route. Thought I wanted to be an engineer. Plans kind of changed. I realized I didn't know exactly what I wanted when I was 18, 19 years old, so I took a left turn into the fire service and became a firefighter paramedic for about 10, 12 years, and then just life changes, health changes. Realized I wasn't going to be able to finish a career as a firefighter paramedic, so difference between 18-year-old self and 30-year-old self was I'm married, 2 kids, full-time job, kind of like Corinne was talking about. And so the difference between when I first started college and now is the online presence is so accessible and so normal that, it's super easy for somebody like myself or Corinne or Jasmine to, pivot even when life is happening, and still try to get that college education?
For me, I come from similar to, I would say, Corinne, as far as when I first started going to school. After high school, I went to a state college, similar to a community college. There, I got my associate degree, and then I transferred to another school in Florida, a university, Florida Atlantic University. And I went there for close to almost 4 years. Was this close to getting my degree in theater. And while I was in school, I was so involved with other school activities and stuff like that. But what I was going to school for, I wasn't really enjoying.
Yeah.
I did love acting and stuff like that, but I just felt like there wasn't enough opportunities for me, as well as I just didn't feel engagement from, being on campus. Back then, there was online classes, but it wasn't like something that was pushed out for main students to use. It wasn't like, oh, hey, yeah, do online classes. Like, I never thought I would do online classes because I thought I just lacked motivation to even be going to school, let alone try to go online classes. So I ended up stopping going to school because of health reasons. And when I got my new job, I'm in my 30s now. Back when I was going to school, I was in my early 20s. I work at Walmart, and I work in the human resources department at one of Walmart's distribution centers. So the warehouse. So when you go inside Walmart, all those products you see on the store, it comes from a warehouse. Yeah. So I work on the transportation side with truck drivers, technicians, coordinators, dispatch, all that good stuff. And one of the managers there, he's like my mentor, and he was just pushing me to go to school. And I was just like, no, I wasn't really good at school. But he kept pushing me. And my job actually has a program, an educational benefit for all associates, as long as you never got your bachelor's degree. And so I tried a certificate here and there just to test the waters. And I did really well. So I said, okay, let me actually go back to school. University of Arizona wasn't my first option. But I was just like trying to find something that was a great program that fit what I was trying to do. I'm trying to go into management. I'm trying to upgrade and level myself up within Walmart. So when I did my research on other schools, Eller was like the best college out of all the other universities that Walmart had offered. So when I joined, the advisors seemed really great. They were motivating. They taught me about a lot of the resources that they have for online students. And some of the teachers were very informative and helpful. And so I was just like, okay, this is the first time where I feel like I can go to school and actually enjoy being at school. And I feel like I can actually complete my degree. I can really do this. So online for me has been great. It does have its ups and downs. It is hard when you have a full-time job to do so many assignments within that 7-week, 5-week, because that's a lot of the online courses. You barely ever see 15-week courses. It has been challenging. So I can only imagine, like for Matt and Corinne, how you guys have families and kids and stuff like that, and still trying to go to school, how hard it is. So it's rewarding, but it is very difficult and challenging.
So I want to kind of expand on that a little bit. From Brian and I's perspective, like we design courses, right? But we're on the faculty side, sort of, and kind of see like, oh yeah, this should work and this will be great. But in practice, like from a student side, we don't get a whole lot of student feedback. So what is it like? What would you like faculty to know or your instructors to know? Being a student of an online course, like what works, what doesn't, what would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of?
10 minutes in, he's asking
I know.
a loaded question.
I know.
Wow.
This is your chance. Let it all out. It's a safe space
So
here.
are we naming names or?
Oh,
No? Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that I brought up to these ladies earlier today is just kind of realizing the perspective, like you said, of the student, right? There's the faculty side, and there's a lot of upfront work, and hey, we're going to set this whole thing out in July for the whole fall semester, right? And one thing that I've come across a couple of times is on these classes that are very pre-recorded or established heading into the semester. It's like you get to a holiday, for instance, and a class is designed over the summer to be, hey, Thursday and Sunday things are due. Well, you get into Labor Day weekend and you have an assignment due Sunday. It's kind of tough if I'm with my family out camping, and your professor's not going to be in there Monday morning on Labor Day grading it. Could we push for that one? Can we just alter that little piece? So I think one thing that I've noticed is obviously setting up schedules and assignments and pre-recording lectures and all of that stuff, doing all the heavy lifting up front. Also thinking, hey, week by week, what is this going to look like? Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, and then making adjustments as needed. So some of it sometimes does seem a little bit concrete when it comes to setting it up ahead of time. That's one thing that I've noticed. That can be a struggle sometimes.
No, that's great.
Yeah, that's great feedback to hear.
Right,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's right. They've taught the course in the spring, and there's not those same kind of holidays
Right.
that fall in the fall. And stuff, so you don't realize that right when you do it. So just kind of having that awareness and having flexibility is kind of what I hear.
I do feel what the 5-week and 7-week courses, like some actual classes, the syllabus is so action packed of material and assignments and tests that have to get done each week, and it's just like, I could do this if I wasn't going to work. If I didn't work 40 hours a week. But this is like, I've had to drop some classes because I know I can't do it. And I'm going to fail, and then my GPA is going to go down. And then I might get kicked out of school or kicked out of my, for my job because there's a certain GPA I have to uphold. So now I'm not able to participate in these courses because I can't keep up with this curriculum.
Right.
So I don't know who's in charge of the curriculum and the syllabus, but I feel like if they could just be more mindful that a lot of online students, I know this is sourced to main campus students who are in their 20s, but a lot of online students were 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
We're grown adults with full-time jobs, with family and kids. We cannot have a test or an exam or a project or an assignment due every day of each of the 5-7-week course.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
This is a wonderful point. I registered for a nutrition 101 class.
Yeah.
And on the Wednesday the class opened, there was stuff due. And of course I have a life outside of, work. So I didn't log in until Thursday, and I was already behind on stuff, and I was like, this is a nutrition class. This is a 100 level class. Hang on a second here. So that is actually a really great thing that take into account.
Yeah.
Your students are online students for a reason.
Right.
Family, children, pets, maybe they're taking care of aging parents. You can't just dump the whole kitchen sink on them and expect success. We have to set our students up for that success.
Right.
So that's
And we
really
shouldn't
good point.
just be condensing a 16-week course into
Right.
7 weeks or 5 weeks. Like there should be some thought into how that pacing goes.
Yeah, because
So,
not all. Like I took physio anatomy in 7 weeks.
yeah.
That class should not be a 7-week class.
So then would you recommend to that instructor or to that college or department, there should be 101A and 101B, and let's do the first 7.5 weeks as the A class, and then let's take that 15-week class and break it up into 2 different things.
That would
so we're
work,
not
yeah.
smushing it all together.
Yeah, that would definitely work too, because a lot of my classes in the beginning were 7 weeks. Now I'm getting to the senior part, so a lot of them are 15 weeks, which is a breath of fresh air because a lot of these projects,
Yeah.
especially in nutritional science, a lot of them were 7 weeks, especially the general eds classes. Yeah. But now that they're 15 weeks, I don't have to be on top of everything every day to figure out what my schedule needs to be.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of breather. And one other thing too, on top of that, they want you to take exams, but they want you to have proctored exams when that's not feasible because we discussed this earlier, for a lot of us adults. A lot of us are 30, 40, 50. We're going to college because we kind of want to. We're actually putting a little bit more effort into it. So I feel like it's that area where we don't feel trusted to take an exam, because we all someone has kids, like you said, elderly parents. A lot of them say you can't have any noise, or you can't have any dog or anything come up. Like, how is that possible? When
Brian
you
and I both have toddlers. We know like it's impossible to not have noise.
Like,
in the
no
house.
one can come. What if there's an emergency and someone comes up? Guess what? You failed your test because you had somebody.
There are instructors that know somebody somewhere threw a dart at the board to make that kind of decision. Because there are instructors that go, if my students are going to cheat, they're going to cheat. There's no amount of proctoring. There's no amount of take your camera and show me the under the table and around the room that is going to stop that from happening. But like you said, you and a certain age group of folks who are taking online classes want to be here. And the person that wants to be here isn't really going to cheat because they want to learn. They want to, be involved in all this. So I love that point, you know, that they want to be here.
Right. So let me take this step further, right? Because the exams are there to assess the student's knowledge, whatnot. It's an old school way of thinking, right? It's the, education for better or worse, probably mostly worse, is kind of stuck in some of those archaic modes of thinking, and that exams are the only way that we can assess students. We know that's not the case, but what would you like to see as a form of assessment that's different than an exam, that maybe is more engaging, that maybe you think could better showcase your knowledge in some way, shape, or form? And I know that's, probably a loaded question. We're asking you to do our jobs, but, this is your chance to kind of offer some opinions.
Have an idea because I've had 2 classes where the instructor, we didn't have a final exam or really any exams. He had us do a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Pick a topic we want to talk about that we've learned in the class. Do our little bit of research. We had to have a couple of research articles to go along with that.
Right.
We presented it. We recorded it like on VoiceThread, whichever recording system we wanted to use, and we submitted it. She graded it. She gave us a grade on it. Things like, because like me, I'm a visual learner. So taking tests scares me. Even though I know the information, because if you ask me, I can just give it out, explain it to you in every which way possible. But when you give me a test, my brain just is like, what is going on? All these can be the right answer. So I think a lot of times we also forget that people are different learners.
You're right.
And I think that's, like you said, the old school way is it's one way to learn things, but a lot of people, even kids learn so many different ways. And I think that's how online is too. A lot of us have different ways of doing things. Some people, like to have their book read to them. Some people love to read. Some people like to print their stuff out. It's just, it's one of those things. It's like tests, like I said, freak me out. So if I can do a PowerPoint presentation and tell you what I think how it should be and then get a grade on it, that's
or maybe
good for me.
Make a podcast and tell everybody,
that is actually something I'm working on with 2 instructors right now, is let your students show you that they've learned something in their class, but it doesn't matter how they show that learning to you. It can be a PowerPoint, it can be a poster, it can be a video, it can be a whatever, as long as they're, checking off the boxes that you're looking for. Oh yeah, they memorized this section. Now they know all of these, the most commonly prescribed drugs. Now they know, whatever. And it doesn't matter how they're showing me that they've learned. What matters is they are showing me. And I think that's a really important thing to get instructors to see, that your students don't have to show you through a test. They can show you through real world examples of, if I worked in a doctor's office, I'd make a poster. If I worked as a paramedic, I might also make a poster, But it's important to let students' abilities shine through when they're showing what their learning is. Sometimes that can be difficult online because, we're online, and if you're going to do a Zoom video, you've got to have your hair combed and no dogs barking and all this kind of stuff.
Some of us have to have their hair combed.
But it can be challenging because how much time does the instructor have to grade whatever you're turning in? Does the instructor know Photoshop? Do they know everybody should know PowerPoint by this day and age, but do they know Prezi, or do they know whatever software you've used? Do they know the resources you're getting your graphics from are okay to be used? Did you have to license things? And some instructors aren't full-time instructors. Some instructors, like their students, have jobs and families, and they only teach one course a year maybe. So they may not feel they have time to invest in learning a new technology that they might really want to put into their course. So that is kind of a hurdle that we as instructional designers face. It's like, well, tough. You're an educator. You've got to, if you don't learn this stuff, we're going to find an educator who does, because students want to learn from that educator who is passionate and excited about transferring their information to students.
I think the most hyper example of what you're talking about comes from some classes I've had. So I'm business admin and accounting. And so there's only so much you can, verbalize or put into a PowerPoint when it comes to technical skills, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the conceptual side, right? You can explain that you know it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, a lot of these classes that I've taken are stats, finance, accounting, where you really do have to read, digest, and compute numbers. Mm-hmm. You can only explain your way around that so much without doing it. But yeah, like you said, there's classes that I've taken where 70%, 60% of your grade is your midterm and your final. So 30% of your grade is your final.
You're hurting our heart.
Half of that final is crunching numbers into Excel, and if you miss one number on an early part of that, that's 5 to 10% of your overall grade on one question of one test. And some of it I have gone, man, if I just had a chance to talk to the instructor and say, I understand the concept, I missed a number on step 2. You know what I mean?
Also, I see with a lot of the office hours is that some of them will hold office hours, but if they don't see students coming in, they may not be there, or they'll have the teacher assistant there helping. And sometimes you just want to talk directly to the instructor. I don't want to talk to the TA who doesn't have the same power as an instructor, because from my understanding, the instructor is the one who made the curriculum. Yeah. So me talking to the TA, to me, is pointless. I want to talk to the instructor because I'm having a hard time with this portion, and I really can't afford to fail this class. So I've seen that it's getting a little hard to get in touch with the instructor. Some of them are very oh, you have to email me at this time from this day on, or you have to be here at this exact time and drop in. And I'm like, well, I have to work, so I can't.
Or maybe you're in a different time zone, right? And
yeah,
that time is the middle
too.
Of the night.
I'm like, you guys are 3 hours ahead, and I live in Florida. So, you're by the time it's 2:00 for you, it's 5:00 for me. Right. So it's been real hard as far as that going. But when I do pass my classes, that's where I'm like, I could do this. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think this has been a very enlightening discussion and conversation. I'm grateful to all of you for making the time. I know you've got a jam-packed schedule while you're here visiting us on main campus. But so just as we conclude this podcast, maybe just one piece of advice for anybody who's maybe thinking about online classes, or even one thing that you didn't get to say that maybe you would love for instructors to hear about, what you would like to see as an online student. We'll give you that option. So we talked about giving options to students. And
I would say I like to see, like I was just stating earlier, just if I need help in a certain area, just more access to the instructor. And presence. As far as they're more of a presence, and also really when you're thinking of the syllabus or this curriculum, can an online student do this? Yeah. More importantly, because you brought up a good point, when these instructors are, thinking of this curriculum and there's new technology out there, and they're like, well, I got a life and a family, so I can't learn this. Okay, think about when you're, as an instructor, when you see this curriculum, can you do it? Right. You can grade it, but can you do this as a student? Yeah. And if you can't, then why are you subjecting your online students to do it?
That's good. Thank you.
I would say for online students who are thinking about, I say just do it. Like I said, I'm actually 41, so I'm an older student. I've been trying to get my degree for a good 10 years now, but it's worth it. Just do it. Just make the jump. I guarantee you're not going to regret it.
My one piece of advice for students, and if this is for instructors to pass to students, is I don't, not to be cliche, but you're going to get out of it what you put into it. It is very much different than going into a class, sitting there and being in person. It's your phone is right there, the kitchen is right there, the TV is right there, the gym is right there. You truly, like Kareen said earlier, is that you're there probably more as a choice as opposed to just taking the natural path after high school. You had to make a big decision to go back and try to do it later in life, or because you're in a situation where you're remote or you have kids, whatever it was, you probably made a big decision to go to school online. It's expensive. It's a lot of work. So get the knowledge out of it, because that's really what you signed up for.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciated having you on this episode, and we look forward to hearing your progress, celebrating your graduations over the next few years, and we would love to have more students come on and tell us their experiences as well. So as you talk to your peers and classmates, please encourage them to get involved and speak up as well. And for our listeners out there, thank you for listening, and tune in next month for another episode.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.